Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm helping you level up your communication skills. And on this episode, I'm going to be talking about why self-discipline leads to joy. And one of the ways that I'm going to be breaking down this point is by reading an excerpt from my book called Level Up Mentality, which is currently available in Amazon.com as well as Gumroad. I'll drop the link for the book in the description box along with the pinned comment right on below. Imagine that someone is going through a very tough time right now, and they're on the borderline of throwing in the towel. Right before they're about to throw in the towel, you come in contact with them. What do? For a lot of us, what we may do is, hey, stop. Before you throw in the towel, one thing that I would recommend you do is you practice a little bit of gratitude. You don't treat gratitude like just this random thing. You actually practice it. Practice the art of counting your blessings to bring awareness to what you're doing right. And the more that you keep doing this, the more the tendency to throw in the towel will melt away. This guy that is about to quit hears you out. He says that he'll listen to your advice for the next 2 weeks and he'll come back and report his findings. He does exactly that. He comes back to you and he says, wow, man, gratitude really did make me feel better physiologically as well as mentally. Thank you. In this situation, gratitude was something that was highly effective. I feel like you're about to set up a big but. I'm not going to set up a big but. However, what I am going to set up is a big and. I believe in this situation where we gave this individual the advice of, you gotta be more grateful, I believe we should have also paired it with, and you should be more disciplined. But Armani, this guy is going through an extremely tough time right now. Let's leave him with gratitude. Why make the guy work as well? Because exercising discipline alongside gratitude creates a synergistic force which leads to more joy. But that's not how we view discipline. We view discipline as work. And the more that we view it as work, the more that we're not understanding the full formula. And the formula is what I'm going to be discussing in terms of the Level Up Mentality book. But before I talk about the formula, let me tell you a little bit of a narrative that will bring the formula to life. Last year, before the entire coronavirus pandemic was taking over and a lot of things were getting shut down, I used to go to Starbucks in order to work on my business. The reason that I liked working in Starbucks was because there were a lot of different individuals, a lot of different business owners that too were working in Starbucks. So it was like a little community that was forming. In this community, there was typically a homeless man that would sit at Starbucks by himself. This homeless man would typically have 2 Scientology books with him. How did you know that they were Scientology books? Well, if you've seen one Scientology book, you've pretty much seen all of them. All of them have a very similar design, and on the side, it writes L. Ron Hubbard in very big titles. So you can immediately recognize it once you've seen one. So I did see this guy with 2 Scientology books, and I hear him consistently just mumbling to himself. You can't hear what he's saying unless you bring conscious awareness to it. And one of these days, I got very curious. Like, what is this guy mumbling? So I tune into what this guy is saying. The first day I listened to him, he's saying, a lot of people moving, but they don't know where they're going. A lot of people moving, but they don't know where they're going. He keeps mumbling it over and over in repetition. Another day when I listened to him, he says, love ain't just a word, it's what you do. Love ain't just a word, it's what you do. It's like he is saying affirmations to himself. I don't know exactly what's going on with this situation. I could obviously take a guess. But in both of these situations with this homeless man, he was saying 2 affirmations which shed more insight into discipline for me. And this is how I want to start reading this passage from the Level Up Mentality, which is titled, How to Properly Execute Discipline. So the first part that I want to read, the first snippet is, Fit people were once fat. Masters were once beginners. Successful people were once failures. Mature people were once immature. Driven people were once lazy. You can make any change that you desire. The only thing standing in your way is discipline. So what this man was saying in regards to a lot of people walking, but they don't know where they're going, started to create a narrative. And this narrative really brings into light this little snippet that I was giving you. We need a narrative in regards to discipline, otherwise it robs the beauty. Then, let's go with the practical sides. What's the formula, Armani? There needs to be a formula for discipline, correct? That's correct. So to optimize discipline, you need a why, a how, and a what. The why equals desire, the how equals long-term blueprint, and the what equals the daily routine. The second part of what that old man was saying, love isn't just a word, it's also what you do, was exemplifying that, unfortunately, in terms of discipline, a lot of us are just getting stuck at the what. Like, what do I have to do? But we're missing the why and the how. But when all three are combined, where there is a desire, where there is a long-term blueprint, which is giving us clarification, we're no longer like the guy that's just walking but don't know where they're going. Plus, we added in with the what, the daily routine. That's when a discipline starts to serve as a form of gratitude. And if this is being put into practice, the more that the long-term thinking is being exhibited over a longer period of time, it's as though a discipline serves as its own battery pack. And this battery pack, it can only be unlocked when you've stuck with it long enough. If you're disciplined in bursts, then you probably have no clue what I'm speaking about. But when you've dedicated 2 years at least, it starts to serve as a battery pack. And as this battery pack is happening, it's making you reevaluate a lot of life philosophies. There's two predominant philosophies out there in terms of life. One is believing that humans are naturally very corrupt, very sinful creatures, and you need to elevate them somehow with a divine purpose. Another philosophy is that humans naturally are very pure creatures, and the purity is hidden behind a whole bunch of ignorance and a whole bunch of past sins. And with discipline, the reason that discipline is leading to a lot of joy is because accidentally, we're actually changing our life philosophy. We're starting to become this, where the more disciplined that you're becoming over time, the more it feels like you are pure. You can't quite put your finger on it, but you are pure. And it seems like the more disciplined that you're being, it's like you have the answers, but you're just kind of removing the dirt at this point. And when the dirt is being removed, that's when the why is starting to shine more. The desire that's fueling the discipline is shining more. And that's when the long-term blueprint is starting to clarify on its own. And then the what, the daily routines, starts to take care of itself. So discipline is not just something that you're doing in terms of work. Discipline is actually a formula that is leading towards more happiness. It's leading towards more happiness because it's rewiring a core life philosophy of who we are. Over time, it's starting to resonate a lot more with information theory. All right, Armani, you're getting extremely technical this episode. Why? It's because the world of emotional intelligence is going to start making more sense in the world of complex science, in the world of complex adaptive systems, which information theory handles brilliantly. Information theory basically states that our goal is to understand the basic premises of thermodynamics, where a system that is left completely untouched will have increase in disorder. And the only way that we can keep fine-tuning this system is by consistently adding content in there, enhancing the organizational richness, building the complexity, and keep lowering its entropy. leave it untouched and the entropy rises, the disorder rises. Keep working on it and the entropy lowers and the richness arises. Over time, the reason that discipline really leads to joy is because we are understanding that emotional intelligence is one of the biggest signs of complex adaptive systems out there. And this form of discipline is adding more content into our world, which is slowly reducing our entropy, reducing the anxiety. And when you see that guy that was about to throw in the towel, you can see why pairing up discipline with gratitude is one of the best long-term forms of thinking that's out there. So long story short, be disciplined, exercise discipline, and stick around with it long enough for it to serve as natural joy. It's a natural joy that no other chemical inducing substance can give you because it's changing the core philosophy. It's allowing you to directly perceive that I am a pure creature and I'm just removing away the darkness. To learn more about discipline and how to exercise your mindset in complex engineering principles, check out The Level Up Mentality, which I'm going to drop a link for in the description box and the pinned comment. And thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel.